It seems you have shared a detailed and captivating story about some dark and intense episodes from superhero animated series. It involves characters facing difficult challenges and unexpected twists, making it more than just a typical kid's cartoon. Below is the translated version. We are all accustomed to superhero animated series based on comic books. We know that in each episode, there will be a villain who challenges our hero, and in the end, the hero will overcome pain, fight the wrongdoer, and save either the world or at least their loved one. But what if I tell you that sometimes superhero cartoons show something so terrifying that it's scary to even mention it out loud? For example, how about the storyline where Spider-Man transforms into a monster and almost kills his girlfriend? Only the intervention of the Punisher, Hunter, and Dr. Riordan saves him from madness. Or did you expect the X-Men to face a villain planning to manipulate Jean Grey and Cyclops to create an army of their children? Children's cartoons may seem innocent, but today I will tell you about the most horrifying, dark, yet incredibly fascinating episodes of superhero shows. Let's start with the episode called Despicable and Beautiful. So terrifying that all 90s kids hid under their blankets after watching it. They knew a nightmare awaited them at night. Not an agent's nightmare, but the one from the eponymous arc of the second season of the Spider-Man animated series. Peter Parker suffers from a mutation that causes uncontrolled cell division in his body. He faces the vampire Michael Morbius in an attempt to defeat him and save a troubled boy. Peter decides to undergo an experiment and drinks the serum prepared for him by scientist Maria Crawford. But contrary to expectations, the medicine accelerates the mutation, and two additional pairs of arms grow on the friendly neighbor. To make matters worse, the avenging hosts blame the spider for the student's abduction, and so the attack begins. His hands are covered with fur, and his fingers turn into huge claws. Spider-Man transforms into a monster, narrowly escaping death. The Avengers were prepared to fight the giant spider, and Maria Crawford, witnessing the consequences of the experiment, calls her lover Kraven to help her fix everything. Both antagonists converge in their hunt for the spider, and for a moment, the Punisher gains the upper hand. But when he attacks Peter again, the latter binds him in a cocoon and drags them both to Kraven's secret base. Frank saves him, convincing him that they need to work together due to the carelessness of the vigilante. The monster spider discovers uninvited guests and attacks them, but the two hunters fight back, and Castle stuns the opponent with a shocker. Kraven tries to stop Frank, but the anti-hero is determined to kill the monster to prevent casualties among civilians. Then Maria herself appears on the scene and tells the Punisher that the spider is just a victim of the experiment. If Frank avenges those who killed his family, the girl injects an antidote into Peter and asks the Punisher to cover his face with a cloak to keep the spider's identity a secret. Upon waking up, our hero is initially afraid of the Punisher, but then he realizes that they are on the same side. In the end, Kraven Castle exchange pleasantries, and Fitz, finally free from the mutation, faces another day in the guise of a friendly neighbor. The plot of Unlimited Nightmare is considered one of the best storylines of the animated series. If for some reason you haven't seen it yet, be sure to fill in this gap. Of course, watch the whole video until the end because more exciting and astonishing stories of the animated series await you. The new adventures of Batman always manage to surprise, but conveying the emotions I experienced while watching the episode Beyond the Edge is almost impossible, but I will try, of course. The episode begins with heavily armed police hunting Batman and Robin. Driving them deep into the caves, the pursuers shoot at them, intending to kill. And then, it seems, Batman dies from a grenade explosion. It turns out that the operation is personally led by Commissioner Gordon, a loyal ally of the Dark Knight. But is he an ally? Because now, on Gordon's orders, the police blow up the Batmobile, trapping Batman and Robin. And James takes aim at Bruce Wayne's head, calling him by name. Perhaps the story of the Dark Knight would have ended if it weren't for the hero's rescue. Alfred, who is immediately arrested for his role as the old butler, prevents Batman from speaking. Inspector Bullock aims his gun at Batman, ordering him to do it himself with Robin's help. The Dark Knight escapes from the police, and the heroes return to the Warrior's mansion. Background noise and a call. Bruce picks up the phone and hears Commissioner Gordon on the other end. He reveals Wayne's secret and blames him for his daughter's death. Batman tries to explain to the Commissioner, but it's futile. However, at that moment, Gordon heads to the mansion along with the patrol cars. And that's when the chase begins as seen in the beginning of the episode, while the heroes decide what to do next. Nightwing goes to his base to get supplies but falls into a trap set by Grayson, and they arrest him. Bruce decides that it's over and tells Drake to leave, staying alone. Meanwhile, the police leadership finds out that Barbara was a vigilante all this time, and they suspend Gordon from duty pending an investigation. Obsessed with revenge, Jim enters an alliance to get help in avenging the Dark Knight. The decisive moment comes during Barbara's funeral. As she visits to say goodbye, Batman's allies fall into a trap, and both the police and the sworn enemy Bane attack them. In the end, Batman is cornered, and Commissioner Gordon prepares to arrest the Dark Knight. But Robin disagrees and attacks the officer, nearly throwing him. Off the roof, Bruce comes to Gordon's aid and knocks out Bane. But the villain throws a container with the fear toxin at them, making the hero and Jim fall towards their deaths. However, just before the fall, we hear Barbara's frightened voice. It turns out that everything that happened was her nightmare, induced by Scarecrow's toxin. After sharing her dream with her allies, Batgirl decides to stop keeping secrets and tells her father everything. After dinner, she starts a conversation, but Jim interrupts her and says that it's her choice who she becomes in this life, and no matter what, he will always love and take care of her. The episode ends there. Although the plot twist with the Scarecrow's toxin was somewhat predictable, the episode still reveals an astonishingly terrifying story, and it ends in an incredibly touching way. Therefore, personally, I'm ready to forgive everything. Hit the like button if you agree. The creators of the Spider-Man animated series managed to terrify young fans without being hindered by censorship. Similarly, they also found a way to bypass censorship in the X-Men show that aired 2 years earlier. Some episodes about the adventures of mutants not only depicted character deaths, but also fearlessly explored mature themes and showcased a horrifying, almost apocalyptic future where humans orchestrated a full-scale genocide of mutants. During my childhood, I personally was already frightened by the first 2 episodes of the second season dedicated to the iconic villain, Mr. Sinister. His plan involved kidnapping Cyclops and Jean Grey, using a massive tentacle to extract their DNA and create the perfect offspring, turning them into loyal soldiers. This plot sounds as disgusting as it looks. Although the plot twist with Scarecrow's toxin may have been somewhat predictable, the episode still unfolds a stunningly terrifying and harrowing story. Yet, it ends incredibly touchingly. Therefore, I personally am ready to forgive everything. Censorship did not prevent the Spider-Man animated series from instilling fear in young fans, and the creators managed to bypass it in the X-Men show, which aired 2 years earlier. Some episodes about mutant adventures not only showed the death of characters, but also fearlessly delved into adult themes and depicted a horrifying, apocalyptic future where humans perpetrated a true genocide of mutants. Let's go through it step by step. At the beginning of the arc, Cyclops and Jean Grey finally decided to seal their relationship with marriage. Mutant Morph, who died at the hands of guards and was resurrected by Mr. Sinister, sought revenge on the X-Men for their betrayal. He infiltrated the team in disguise, assuming the identities of his allies. Morph sabotaged the team from within, luring Jubilee into a trap, forcing Gambit to lose consciousness after a kiss, and ordering the police to open fire on Storm while the main team was on the brink of destruction. While Cyclops and Jean were blissfully enjoying their honeymoon, Mr. Sinister himself appeared, sending his minions after the newlyweds. He deprived the heroes of their powers using special collars and kidnapped his own lab. Wolverine sensed trouble and set out to find Jubilee, rescuing her from mutant hunting thugs in the process. Meanwhile, the remaining members of the team gathered at the base to discuss the situation. Professor Xavier interrupted them, warning of an impending attack on the X-Men. The enemies were preparing deadly weapons to eradicate mutant kind when Jubilee and Wolverine entered the room. Logan smelled Morph, his old friend, and approached him with questions. However, Morph, disguised as Professor Xavier, ordered the mutants to capture Wolverine. Claiming he had gone mad, a fight ensued, and Morph attacked his former allies. He escaped the base while Professor X and the X-Men were left trying to recover from the attack. During this time, Scott and Jean were taken prisoner by Mr. Sinister. The villain revealed his plan, explaining that he had been observing their pair for a long time, as they were the perfect partners bound by an intense connection. Sinister used tentacles with fangs to extract Scott's DNA, all while making it clear that he aimed to create an ideal offspring to serve as his loyal soldiers. The whole scene was as repulsive as it sounds. After fulfilling his vile mission, Mr. Sinister departed. By the time Jubilee and Wolverine reached the island to rescue their friends, the illusions of the X-Men had summoned their mutants and initiated the fight. Cyclops apologized to Morph and reminded him that he was still a part of the team, and the X-Men needed him. Encouraged by Cyclops' words, the mutants confronted the attack, forcing Mr. Sinister to flee. Along with his henchmen, left alone on the island, Wolverine tried to stop Morph from escaping, but he failed. He vowed to do whatever it takes to save his friend. Looking ahead, it can be said that Logan kept his promise, and in the series finale, the Bridge will once again stand side by side with his allies. And that's all for now. Make sure to write in the comments which of these episodes stood out the most for you, and what other storylines from your favorite animated series you would like to hear about next time. Don't forget to hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comment. It's essential. As always, your presenter was here. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.